Hello everyone and welcome to an NFL discussion. I'm your host and NFL enthusiast Doug. In today's episode I'm going to be discussing Monday Night Football Week 9 of the 2023 NFL season. And this was a rather boring primetime game. Pretty much what happened was the Chargers scored on a punt return and then kind of pulled away from the Jets from there. Meanwhile, the Chargers didn't do much of anything on offense other than Austin Ekeler scoring a couple touchdowns and Keenan Allen going over 10,000 yards in his career. And on the Jets, on offense, they didn't do anything. Couple field goals and that was it. The defense played well, but there was only so much they can do when they don't have an offense supporting them. And with that, we'll go ahead and get right into the action, starting with the Los Angeles Chargers. And Justin Herbert completed 16 of 30 passes for 136 yards, adding 17 yards on 2 carries. Darius Davis returned a punt for an 87-yard touchdown before the Chargers got the ball, and the defense took over from there, holding the Jets to just 6 points behind 8 sacks and 3 fumble recoveries. That kept the Chargers to just 25 minutes and 33 seconds time of possession, and meant only 51 offensive plays run from scrimmage and a lopsided win. The poor game environment and little pressure from the Jets offense allowed offense coordinator Kellen Moore to adopt a more game-managing play-calling stance. Austin Ekeler rushed 14 times for 47 yards and 2 touchdowns, adding 23 yards on 2 receptions. And although the veteran back scored with a couple of touchdowns, the primary emphasis from this one was a set of 3 uncharacteristic drops that left them with just 2 receptions of 7 targets. The absence of Mike Williams and Joshua Palmer placed an additional need for Ekeler to produce through the air, something that never fully materialized as the Chargers struggled to move the ball against a stout Jets defense. Even so, Ekeler's robust red zone role remained intact. Up next for Ekeler Chargers is another difficult test on the ground against one of the top defenses in the NFC when they host the Lions in Week 10. Keenan Allen caught 8 of 9 targets for 77 yards. And Allen joined Antonio Gates as the only 2 players in Chargers history to surpass 10,000 yards receiving with the franchise, and he did so with one of the prettier catches of the season. On 3rd and 4 with 12 minutes remaining in the 4th quarter, Allen broke 3 down the right sideline, was overthrown, but made a couple of spinning adjustments and was able to corral the ball with his left hand and secure it while spinning to the ground to surpass that mark with the Chargers. It would be his final touch of the night, and he left the game with 10,007 yards in his career in his 11th season. So for the Chargers, they went ugly. The O-line played bad, which certainly contributed to a down performance for Justin Herbert. As I mentioned, Austin Ekeler got a couple of touchdowns, but he did struggle with some drops. And then Keenan Allen passing the 10,000 yards. That's a special mark for wide receivers to pass in their career, and I had no idea he was that close to it, but it makes sense. Allen has been a consistent producer when healthy for the Chargers. He's had his issues with health before, but he's always been able to bounce back, and I'm glad to see, and I'm happy for him that he got to pass that mark. He certainly makes an interesting case for the Hall of Fame. I know he's nowhere done with his career, but he has to be in that conversation for Hall of Fame. At the very least, he's making the Chargers Hall of Fame or Ring of Honor, whichever one it is. But a win is a win, and the Chargers, they stay at 500 and still hanging around in that playoff picture. And also to the defense, the amount of sacks that they got to. Yeah, so defense kind of helped carry the team here. New York Jets. Zach Wilson completed 33 of 49 passes for 263 yards, adding 7 yards on 2 carries. And Wilson was under constant duress against a menacing Los Angeles pass rush, forced into catch-up mode after the punt return for a touchdown. Wilson lost a fumble and was sacked 8 times under the bright lights, but he was also not helped by his pass catchers as Allen Lazard dropped 3 passes and C.J. Uzomah dropped a would-be touchdown that hit him in the numbers. Even so, Wilson and the Jets fall to 4-4 and a half game behind the Bills for second in the AFC East through the midway point in the season. Up next for the Jets are the Raiders in Week 10. Breece Hall rushed 16 times for 50 yards, adding 10 yards on 4 receptions, and the Jets were able to run 69 offensive plays from scrimmage, but were hamstrung by a punt return touchdown, 3 untimely fumbles, 8 sacks, and 6 offensive penalties. Oddly enough, 4 of the penalties came on long haul games, which would have bolstered his counting stats and loss. All entered the game leading the league in yards per carry of the running back position and had a pristine matchup on the ground, but turned in poor results from a stats perspective. which wasn't really his fault. Garrett Wilson caught 7 of 13 targets for 80 yards, and the Jets managed just 2 field goals in a lopsided loss, with Zach Wilson averaging just 5.4 yards per attempt with very little in the way of downfield ability. To be fair, the Jets played with yet another new grouping of offensive linemen as they continued to deal with injuries up front, leading to 8 sacks and low average intended air yards from Zach Wilson. So yeah, mistakes are to jar out the Jets offense here. And also just bad play overall. Like, the defense played good, but again, there's only so much the defense can do without being supported by the offense, and the offense made quite too many mistakes. Penalties, turnovers, not really helping the team here. The offensive line played bad, giving up I think 8 sacks, I think that's what it was, so that was bad play there. And then Zach Wilson too. I mean, you can say how everything around him wasn't working out. The receivers were dropping balls, people were committing penalties that negated good plays. The offensive line wasn't doing him any favors, and he got sacked 8 times. But still, that's not enough to dismiss his performance here, which was just another bad performance. And that seems to be a consistent theme with Zach Wilson, is that he consistently performs poorly, and the Jets are still paying the price for it. They went all in on Aaron Rodgers, and after Rodgers blew out his Achilles, well, your backup plan was Zach Wilson, and I guess you reap what you sow here with Zach Wilson. And I know there's talks about Rodgers coming back by December. I don't even know if the Jets are going to be relevant by December. And with that will conclude this episode of NFL Discussion. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to hit that like button down below.